Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks for making your way here, for checking out the episodes. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the interviews that I put out every single week. You can also find me over in the Audio Land podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course, right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. That's me, Kyle Meredith, today talking with legendary actress Penelope Ann Miller. You know her from such movies as Carlitos Way, The Relic, The Shadow, Awakenings, one of my all-time favorites, Kindergarten Cop. That's a nostalgia burst right there. She's back with a new movie called AfterAll, starring next to Erica Christensen and Kiara Muhammad. Let's read about this right here. When Ellen returns home to care for her ailing mother and estranged teenage daughter, the three generations of women are confronted by buried secrets and the path toward love and forgiveness. We're going to be talking about the generational trauma that's within this movie with the three main women of the movie. And taking on a project like this, it's a beautiful movie, beautifully shot, beautifully acted, and there are these moments of levity in there, but it is an emotionally heavy movie. And I want to hear about what that process is when you're taking on a role like that. In fact, Penelope Ann Miller's character she's going through dementia. And so we're going to hear about that process. We're going to hear about filming in a very, very, very hot Austin, Texas house, her connections with Texas, helping her nail the accents to go along with it, and so much more on this beautifully told story, which is based on a true story. Let's get into it. We're talking After All. It's Kyle Meredith with Penelope Ann Miller. What a
Yeah.
beautiful movie,
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank
Um,
you.
didn't know what I was getting into. You get the trailer, and it's a little bit of that like, what is this going to be? And to get into it, and it's a heavy movie. It's a very heavy movie, but
Yeah.
it's so beautifully acted, and God, the cinematography is incredible on it.
Yeah.
What
I
when
mean,
you
for a
get it
low budget independent, I think they really made it look like such high quality
right?
in terms of how they shot it. And our DP cinematographer Pascal, he just was fantastic. And I know that Kirsten really had a vision, and the way they filmed it, made it look, just didn't make it look cheap, like you said. It made it feel so cinematic, and so it's nice to hear you say that, because I know they would really appreciate hearing that. And and the thing is, it's very heavy and dramatic, but there's a lot of humor in it,
Mhm.
which I think is important. Like some of my favorite films, like in terms of endearment. What I love about that movie is that there's all the the pathos and the depth and the tragedy, but then there's also so much humor which comes with life. Not purposefully, but
Mhm. And especially the release when you do get to those moments in a movie
yeah.
like this. I mean, they just hit so much harder. But that's what, so when you get a script like this, where you kind of understand what the project's going to mean,
Mhm.
emotionally speaking. I mean, you hear people like, "Oh, I read it and I was so excited to get into it." And I think when you get it, like that's not the word I would use if I saw like excitement isn't exactly it. Like, what is it though for you? Is it excitement? Is it worry? Is it the challenge?
It changes depending on the project. I knew getting into this, because of the kind of role I was playing, it was definitely a departure from what people are used to seeing me do. I was excited because, but I was also challenging at the same time. I'm playing this older woman. It's certainly not a glamour role. Vanity just had to go right out the window. But I thought she was such a rich character, and she had so many layers to her. And it reminded me a lot of relatives. I sort of incorporated a lot of relatives that I had throughout Texas. My dad grew up in Texas.
Mhm.
So it just reminded me of various, you know, uh, relatives that I've had. And so I sort of was channeling them, and I just thought she was a great character. I mean, was it a bit daunting at times to pull it off, because I didn't want to play a caricature. I just wanted to play a real person, but a character. I mean,
Mhm.
and there are people out there that are true characters.
Absolutely.
So, I just thought it was such a well-rounded, well-written role, as all the female roles are in this movie. And I loved that it was about these relationships with this family that have been estranged and have gone through a lot and have a very dark past and are trying to sort of figure out how to come together because of this tragic event. And it just, I think there's so much to relate to with family, whether you have issues, estrangement with your mom or dad, or, a daughter or a sister or brother or whatever the case might be. And we've all gone through those experiences in different ways. And so, how to forgive, how to let go of the past, how to love again, how to come together, how to make it work, like all that stuff. And for instance, like Eric and I are such different people. I mean, not this personally, yes, but like even in these roles, I mean, we're so vastly apart in who we are as people, even though she's my daughter. And I thought that was so interesting. And then our granddaughter, played by Kiara, who gave a beautiful performance. I mean, everybody was so
Beautiful.
different,
Yeah.
and how we learned how to get along.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially it did hit home for me. I mean, I'm not in Texas, I'm in Kentucky, which
Okay.
still, I mean, there's so much internalizing in the South, I think, that comes along.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, what was that? You were talking, your character was talking about being told to go outside and get a switch. Like, I was told that so many times when I was a kid, but that's not a phrase you hear in a movie a lot of the time.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Well, my dad, definitely had a mom that would say that. In fact, he had a paddle with his name on it.
Hmm.
So he said, "You go get your paddle. Go get your paddle." And it was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. But they knew they were going to get paddled. And
Right.
that was normal. It wasn't
Hmm.
considered child abuse or anything like that. It's like, you're going to get spanked. And so, I mean, that was just the way of life then. And they knew that was part of it. I mean, now we look at it so differently as
Right.
parents and, or yeah, I don't know if you're a parent, but
I am a parent and I have never asked my kid to go get a switch. I can tell you that.
it does seem a bit barbaric.
Yeah, right.
To
Right.
us now. At the time, it was not to them, but
Hmm.
yeah, it
Hmm.
does for sure. It's like, remember in school where you heard, not that this happened to me when I was in school, they get their hands swatted by
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you couldn't be left-handed, which I am. They
I'm
had,
left-handed as well.
you are. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's pencil markings on the hand for my entire life.
Totally, yeah. But
Right.
I don't go like this. I
Yeah, I
do
do the hook.
sometimes do it like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
that's
all my sports right-handed.
same here.
Really, we're the same. We're the
We're
same people.
But it's funny because they would teach it like, I'm sure I could have learned how to play sports left-handed and might have wanted to, but that it was just I don't know. I don't know, but
But
it
I
is funny.
eat left-handed,
Eat
and like
left-handed and
I cut right, but I
yeah.
eat and write left-handed. So we're using
Ambidextrous
both
like.
sides of our brain, so we're
Yeah.
very well-rounded.
Well, and I'm gonna latch on to just none of that except for the brain part too, because here you are playing this character who's slowly losing the use of her brain, and and she's losing her memories, she's losing her mind with dementia, and to play a character like that kind of slowly goes in that direction. I was thinking like so much of that feels like it would have to be done with your eyes, and you do incredible work just with the way you're looking through this. But how do you play, like, what's the process, I guess, is what we would ask here when you're playing a character who's going through something like that and not overplaying it, not being a
Right,
caricature.
right. Well, I did a lot of research on people who've had strokes and obviously dementia and forms of those issues, and have known people that have gone through that as well, or Alzheimer's or something, and just different forms. And um, it was interesting because I had one of my very good girlfriends, Jolie, not Jolie Fish, Jolie Fisher is, but her sister, Trisha Fisher. Jolie wasn't there, but their mom went through a stroke, and Connie Stevens. And she had been to the premiere in LA and watched it, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I just can't even tell you how much you reminded me of my mom, just with the hair even, and the way you go in and out of like these different personalities, and sometimes you're like saying things that you're reacting like, what are you saying? That doesn't make sense. And you're going into your past and you're kind of like not remembering. She told me, which was such a huge compliment because she's really living directly with it with her mom,
Right.
and just said it was just to me, right on. And it was just such a huge compliment because I didn't want it to seem like, oh, I'm trying to be weird or charactery or overplay it. And of course it's in the writing. I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to the writing, but it's in the way in which I play it so that it doesn't come off like I'm trying to be kooky or weird or funny. It's just
Mm,
she really believes it at the moment, like what her circumstances are in that moment. I think she's just all in. And so I couldn't think of it, you know, I couldn't look outside myself and say, "Oh, I'm acting weird," because she doesn't think she's acting weird.
mm,
So I
mm.
really had to not be self-conscious about it, but just kind of go for it. But find that fine line, that so it's nuanced, of course, and not overacted.
As it turns out, you're really good at your craft.
No.
Anyway, that's
Well,
but it's
thank you.
and it's you were talking about the writing because if I remember right, like it's actually based on a true story,
Yeah.
which you've played real people in the past, even recently, of course, with Nancy Reagan and
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer's mom.
Yeah.
But this would be, I'm guessing, something like with someone with no profile. Is it similar? Do you get, I guess in a way you're still getting that type of research in the way you're
Well,
doing it, but
I spoke to the writer about his circumstances as a child, and obviously it's loosely based because it was really about him as a
mm,
child, and he made the character a woman, which was very kind of him. So he really made it about women's relationships, and the three generations of women, which but all of that, with the brother and the going to war and being in an abusive relationship and all that was real and had happened to him. So obviously he was garnering all of that wealth of experience into poured into the script. He just made it, slanted it toward a female version of the
mm,
story. Um, but the grandma was the grandma, and but the daughter was the boy. So it was just a little bit, changed in that regard. But I think the fact that it's a true story, I think it makes it all that more
mm,
authentic in its feelings, the way I think the audience perceives it from my experience of having seen an audience now for the really seeing an audience watch the film on the big screen, which was ideal, frankly.
mm.
I don't know if you got that opportunity, but
Right here on my computer. It's
yeah, and that's the way, it has to go these days sometimes. But I'm glad that you got the reaction that you did and the feelings that you did about it, regardless of not seeing it in a big movie theater with an audience's reaction. But for me to see it, because it's hard for me to be objective, it was nice to hear the laughs and
mm,
to see people cry, to feel you could feel the audience's emotion and really in the story. And so that was gratifying for sure.
yeah. And especially that writing. It was just this week. I don't remember who it was. I'm quoting someone, but I don't remember who. But they were talking about how so many, especially TV writers, and I know we're talking film versus TV here, but
Yeah.
are now told write for cell phone attention, right? Knowing that someone's going to be looking at their phone while the TV's on, so they can still follow it
Oh,
easily. It's, I mean, to dumb it down, right? Like it almost makes this movie feel classic in a way because it's not that. This is a
no.
movie you pay attention to. It's a movie you look at. It's a movie that carries silence in a
Well,
powerful
and
way.
that's so true. Because the thing about the movie that I, personally really love is the fact that there's so many quiet moments. There's so
Mm,
many moments that people aren't talking and are listening and reacting. And I mean, like, with Erica,
mm,
a lot of her stuff is observing and watching and feeling, and you see it all going through her, but she's not saying anything. And my character is a bit chatty, But I also feel that there's so much of those silent movies, I mean, silent moments,
Mhm.
which I love about old movies, is that they allowed room to breathe. They allowed you to actually be in the moment with those people. You didn't
Right.
have to you being hit constantly with, you know, action and dialogue and drama. I just think sometimes the drama is in the silences.
Mhm. To be able to just to be able to sit. I mean, that's where we get classic movies from. That's where we get classic moments from. It's becoming a lost art, unfortunately. It seems like in this
It
moment
is.
here, you know, and maybe it's just a
And I know
phase.
people are saying, that this does harken one back to the old days of filmmaking
Hmm.
and movies that we did grow up with or love or watch. Even like you look at really old movies and
Hmm.
now those silences, oh my, I think there are young people who probably wouldn't have the attention spans because they did take a lot of time. They weren't constantly hitting you with stuff all the time in a lot of the older films, the black and whites and all
Right.
those.
Well, thank
But
goodness
this,
for little indie movies that can, you know, that
yeah,
actually somebody believed in this movie, right?
I know, and I really am so glad that I hope, more people will get to watch this movie after all, because I do feel like it's not necessarily like what you would call a feel-good movie,
Sure.
but it's a very fulfilling, gratifying movie. I think you walk out of it feeling like something good can happen in
Mhm.
your life in spite of whatever tragedy or whatever strife that you're going through, is that something can come out of dark. Light can come out of dark. And that, to me, I think that message is so important.
Yeah. And I will tell you, without obviously saying why or whatever, but the movie is going through and it's getting close to the end. It's like, I'm gonna end up misty-eyed, aren't I? And you know it's coming. And there it
Yeah.
is. It's like, ah.
And you're all by
And
yourself.
I'm in my office is where I'm at and going,
And you were going wiping away a
yeah,
tear.
nobody come away, nobody come around.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
it's beautifully told and like I said, in that house that we see. I don't know if you guys actually shot in the house
Oh,
or if
we
that's
shot
just
in that house and it was
wow.
hot. It was, we had a record heat wave in Austin and we were out in the boondocks. That house was real and real hot. And there
Yeah.
was no air conditioning except in one room and it was on one of those built-in window, like you
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and we'd all like sort of clamor into that room. And the poor crew at the time were still being masked and everybody was sweating bullets and it was challenging on many levels, and I have to give a lot of kudos to that crew for, especially because it's low budget and
Mhm.
it wasn't a cushy environment, and the house was great looking for the purposes that it served. I mean, it was an amazing house for the story. It was really perfect, but it wasn't, I would call, comfortable.
Yeah. But still
So
you take the job.
yeah.
What does that say? I don't mean that's supposed to sound positive. I think it was sounding negative, but that's like you do take the job knowing that it's not going to be, big budget catered and everything.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because I like those kind of films. I like smaller films. I like character-driven films. I like relationship stories. I like old movies, you know.
Mhm.
That's why I became an actress, was from watching old movies. I wanted to be in those. And so because of that, um I welcomed the discomfort because I knew it was going to pay off, hopefully. Um, and there were just so many things I loved about these characters and these relationships and what they go through. And there was so much to play. As an artist, you don't necessarily always have a lot to work with. And we had a wealth to work with. We had so much to work with. Like, it's like you're peeling away the onions on these people. And so for me as an actress, like, I relish that. I welcome it. I crave it. And I don't
Mhm.
always get that. You just get very sort of one note type of character, and she absolutely was not, and neither were the other women in the movie, or men for that matter.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank goodness you all did it. Like I said, I've got nothing but compliments about this film, and
Well,
and
spread
and
the word, spread the
and
word.
spreading the words. And And I'm looking forward to the stuff next. I just saw the news come out about Never Again and reading about that, to see what's coming up with that. So, congratulations on this one and
Thank you.
getting it out into the world, for you all
Thank you.
sticking with it.
Yeah, yeah. I really hope it has a life and people get the opportunity to watch it. And I think everybody's gonna get something from it. And it's very relatable. I think all ages,
Mm,
and it's not just because it's a female relationships. I think men also really enjoy it as well because of their relationships with their moms or their grandmas or their sisters or their daughters or sons or whatever. I mean, so there's just, I think, really something for everybody.
yep,
And
perfectly
you
said.
being a man as well,
That's
like,
right.
so there you
That's
go.
right. All right. Penelope, thank you so much for taking the time. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to you about it.
Oh, you as well. And thanks for your support. I really appreciate it.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.